What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. This is episode 6 now, and it's May the 4th, 2025. Happy Star Wars Day for everybody who's watching Star Wars. I might watch some Star Wars tonight. It might be good times, since it might as well. May the Force be with you. You already know, but haven't been back in a little while. It's been about a little over a week since my last, the 5th episode, but we're jumping right back into it. Got a good couple of news and viral moments. Well, more news that we need to talk about. Things that's happening with American Airlines, some shootouts in Texas, which if you watching the news, you see a lot of things that's happening going on in Texas, Houston. I don't know what's wrong with that, what's happening, but it might just be my algorithm, might be just showing me more things that are happening in Texas. But I swear, if I look at it every single day, something else is popping up from Houston. But thank y'all for watching. I'm just gonna jump right into it. This first thing I want to get into is the shootouts that I was just mentioning. So let's get right over to it. Now we're going to be looking at this first thing. Shootouts, more shootouts in Texas. But looks like it was between a 19-year-old and a 51-year-old. I don't understand at what age, why a 51-year-old me getting into a shootout, but he might be defending himself. But let's get into the video and see what's happening and what our thoughts on it. And remember to like and subscribe. And this is AC Reviews the World, and let's review the world together so we can just make sense of stuff. But let's jump right into the video.
Out in a Seagoville neighborhood leaves a 19-year-old dead and a 51-year-old behind bars.
The shooting was captured on a neighbor's surveillance camera. Larry Robertson is now facing a murder charge. Fox 4's David Santandri has more on what happened before and after the shooting. David.
Yeah, Stephen, Heather, that shootout happened in the middle of a neighborhood. At least one bullet went inside someone's home. There were parents and children out and about when this happened, again around lunchtime yesterday. One of those neighbors who witnessed the shooting turned over some surveillance video to us. A shootout in the middle of a Seagoville neighborhood Sunday morning. A 19-year-old man is dead. 51-year-old.
Wow. Now let's back that up a little bit. Looks like a very nice neighborhood, but that don't mean nothing nowadays. Jesus, jumps right out.
Video to us. A shootout in the middle of a Seagoville neighborhood Sunday morning. A 19-year-old man is dead. 51-year-old Larry Robertson charged with murder.
51, and you getting charged with murder. 51, and you're about to get charged with murder. Jesus.
Robertson charged with murder.
My daughter was laying down on the bed watching TV, and the bullet came right through the window, and then she was screaming.
The shooting rattling Tanisha Ortega's family.
All that stuff is just out of control. You know, we're supposed to be in a safe environment, and if you're not safe in your home, where are you supposed to be safe at?
Surveillance video shared with police and obtained by Fox 4 reportedly shows Robertson driving a black Kia passenger car near the 19-year-old who's wearing a red sweatshirt. You hear words exchanged, then gunfire. The 19-year-old runs out of frame.
I know y'all saw that. Now look, you're looking closely. Looks like they were both. The 19-year-old, see right there at the top of the screen, he unloaded the pole too now. So the first video made it look like the 51-year-old just shot him, but they both were exchanging gunshots. A lot of
The
gunshots.
19-year-old runs out of frame as he's shot.
Call 911.
Ortega says she tried to help the young man before he died.
And I was just trying to keep him awake, you know, like.
You see the gun he had? Hold on. You see him walking back with that gun?
To help the young man
Yeah.
before he died.
Ooh. Yeah.
And I was just trying to keep him awake, you know, like tell him, don't go to sleep, don't go to sleep, you know.
The Kia drives off. According to an arrest warrant, Seagoville police located the Kia and arrested Robertson, who's sharing his story with investigators.
And as far as I know, he is being cooperative.
According to the arrest affidavit, Robertson, who lives in the neighborhood, told police, "That dude came around my house. He had a pistol. He pointed it at me." Robertson's family later told police 2 males were seen on surveillance footage loitering around their home, and 1 knocked on their door. Robertson's family says he later went out looking for the 2. Footage shows Robertson return, then leave when he's clearly observed to be carrying a rifle. The department, however, believes the fatal shooting should have never happened.
Bad things happen everywhere.
Now, the real question, could you get away with this with self-defense? Because I'm assuming that's why he's so cooperative. He believes that he was in his right to defend himself. At least that's my thinking as a logical person. Now, the whole thing, he left, like he wasn't around his family no more. Like, I understand. If he would have been knocking on the door with a pistol and you would have shot him at your house, then yeah, that's a different story. But he went out looking for him. Depends on who drew the weapon first to where he could say, oh, this is self-defense. The 19-year-old clearly, at least from the camera image that we were just looking at, shot as well. Now, if it was who first and who, whatever they come up with, yeah, it's going to be a hard case to prove self-defense if you go out looking for, I'm assuming, because you can't go out looking for someone who was potentially did some damage. But let's finish up this video.
But, you know, this is not the way to solve it. You know, gun violence never solves anything.
While the affidavit mentions both Robertson and the 19-year-old exchanged gunfire, it does not specify who shot first. Both appear to display a weapon around the same time. No weapon was found on the 19-year-old, according to police records. It's unclear.
All right, so he ditched the weapon because we clearly in the video we just seen, he had a gun and they both lifted it at approximately around the same time. And if he didn't have the weapon on him when they found him dead, he ditched the weapon to get rid of it. Let's all think logically. I understand we a 19-year-old, yeah, we want to, but he had a gun as well, so.
If someone else was with him out of view during the shooting.
And then he just was gone just like that.
Ortega, who says she watched the 19-year-old pass away, describes it as a haunting encounter.
It just was like shocking. I don't even want to stay here no more. It's not safe, you know?
To me, it looks like the 19-year-old shot first, but.
The 19-year-old has not been publicly identified by police at this point in time.
But we also need to remember we don't know the view of the 19-year-old. The 51-year-old could have had the gun out of the window, and he upped it his. So we can't just rely on one camera angle, but that might be the only thing that they have to go on. So we don't know what's going to be about with that, but a 19-year-old did lose his life, and we have to, gun violence in general, you can't say it's bad people who you're going to need to use your gun against, and shouldn't be that way, but that is how it is. Is it a problem with gun laws? I don't think so. I think the main problem that's happening is that we need either bigger, more police force to help stop the people who are illegally using guns and threatening people. But you can't just be like higher gun laws to stop this kind of thing from happening. But Because in some states who have the highest gun laws still have some of the highest murder and criminal rates. So it's Second Amendment. But that was that video. We're going to keep following along. More stuff in Dallas, Fort Worth. Oh, Jesus. It's always something going on. Now we're going to go a little bit. We're going to go down to Florida. The next thing we're going to be looking at. Florida, people, you probably don't seen it. A Florida woman was arrested as pretending to be an ICE agent. Could we have seen this happen? Yes. We could probably. Someone's going to always find a way to use what's happening in the world to make gains. And it's a sad thing, but she ends up getting arrested. We'll look at the arrest, and then we'll look at some news articles that more describe on what was happening and what this person was thinking of using it. But let's get into this to see the good old footage.
1033 down the main, 1033 on. Got it.
Open the door! Sheriff's office!
Roll your window down.
Open the door!
Yeah, I'm gonna put my car
All that in.
Step out.
Step out.
Turn around, face your car.
All right, let's be a little honest. Let's look at this. Why would you believe that this isn't? Let's not think about. But maybe she had a badge. Maybe she had a shirt that said ICE. I don't look at this person and was be like, oh, she is a law officer. I would not. I don't know, just from this image, but we don't know what she was dressed as when this all took place. But let's
Turn around, face your car.
You can't do nothing right now.
445 Bay, lift to channel 1015.
1823 out.
Air 1 copy.
So we saw the arrest of the Florida woman. Let's look at a little article that they were talking about and read through this. Now, let's look at this. The Bay County Sheriff Office was April 10th arrest was talking about it was identified. It was determined that the suspect, Ms. Bowles, came to the victim's place of employment and identified herself as an ICE agent. The Bay County Sheriff Office said in a statement that Ms. Battles was wearing a black shirt with ICE printed on the front, portrayed as a sheriff officer and portrayed a sheriff officer's office business card, and had a handheld radio. Police said that while the victim's work plates, Miss Battle ordered her to get in the vehicle or else Miss Battle would call in more ICE agents. The victim complied out of fear, telling police officers that she genuinely believed Miss Battle was an ICE agent because she was in the process of becoming a legal resident. Now, at what point... When do you feel the situation is sketchy? Is it since there is less people? If there was more than one officer, maybe, but and then at what point can you call how can you sure that this is legit? But I understand, yes, legal residents, everybody's getting deported. Yes, people are gonna be more fear and more vulnerable to fall for this kind of ploy. But let's keep reading a little bit more. It says, while both were inside the vehicle, Ms. Battle forcefully snatched the victim's phone as she was trying to contact her husband and lawyer. Police said Battle told the victim that they were going to an apartment complex to pick up more ICE agents, which further fueled the victim's suspicion that this was not a legitimate federal police officer. She was using context clues, so that's good. Now, when Miss Battle left the vehicle and went inside the apartment, the victim fled and got help from some of the neighbors at the complex who was sitting in his car. As the victim was hiding behind the neighbor's vehicle while contacting police, Battle went up to the neighbor and asked if he had seen a woman running, police said. The neighbor told her no and asked why she took someone's phone. Miss Battle stated that she knows what she did, a police incident report said. Jesus. The report said that the victim's husband identified Miss Babel as his ex-girlfriend who told the victim she had to suffer consequences of her husband's actions. The husband said she had a restraining order against Miss Battle after she attacked him at his workplace 2 years ago. The deputy investigated further and found that Miss Battle was on probation until 2026. On probation until 2026 for aggravated assault. Come on now. You pose as an ICE agent and you're already on probation until 2026 for aggravated assault. Deserve to be in jail. Battle has been charged with kidnapping, robbery, sudden snatching, impersonating a law officer, and violation of probation. She is going down. That is crazy. You impersonate a law officer to get back at your ex. That is absolutely crazy. Now we're going to keep following onto this to see what happens. How I'm assuming she's going to get charged because that was crazy. There's no way. Already on probation, kidnapping, pretending to be ICE, but at least the woman was smart enough to run away when she did. Because you don't know what could have happened. You don't know what she would have done. Crazy. Let's look at that. Let's look at that video a little bit. Let's see her one more time. Let's just see her one more time.
1033 on the main, 1033 on.
Step out.
Step out.
Turn around, face your car.
That is your ICE agent, everybody. That right there is your ICE agent. Let's back it up a little bit. That right there is your ICE agent. She got that black t-shirt, ICE written on it, and coming for everybody's boyfriend and her exes. You better. Crazy. And ex-boyfriend's wife. That's even crazy. That's Jesus. People out here going crazy. Now, the next thing we're going to get into is crazy. 2 separate women dead after twerking. Now, this is after twerking. 2 separate women. This is not the same location. 2 separate women. I think it was Atlanta and Missouri. That might have been. We're gonna listen to the video, but out of 2 separate cities, go from twerking to death, all involving a motor vehicle. But let's get into the video and see what this story is talking about, and let's understand what happens. But let's always remember to keep the families of the victims in our prayers. And let's remember let's like and subscribe so we can keep looking. Let's keep reviewing the world. Like I said, let's AC Reviews the World, and let's keep reviewing the world together. But let's get right into this video.
Thank you and welcome to The Factor Uncensored for joining us tonight. First up, 2 death investigations underway. The first in Atlanta. According to USAcrime.com, a woman named Maya died during a night out with friends. Now, officials report it is not available just yet, but the website says a victim was twerking in front of a vehicle her friends were inside of. Someone behind the vehicle or the wheel then drove over her, killing her, dragging her body under the vehicle and leaving her body behind.
Y'all see? Oh my God. Let's back that up just a tad bit.
In front of a vehicle her friends were inside of.
So she's right here twerking. 2 feet, 2 hands on the ground. Normal twerking.
Someone behind the vehicle or the wheel then drove over her, killing her, dragging her body under the vehicle and leaving her body behind in the middle of the road.
Leaving the body behind. Those are not your real friends. I don't know what happened. If an accident happened and they are truly your friends, they would not leave your body behind. They were going to stop. Somebody's going to call. There's nothing like this would happen if they were truly your friends.
Road. And in Missouri, another case, an 18-year-old named Nyla Simmons also killed. Investigators say Simmons was dancing on top.
18 years old.
Of an SUV when she fell off of the vehicle, followed by a fire truck running over her and killing her just seconds later. People have been talking about both of those reports on social media, along with...
Did they just say a fire truck? Let's back that up.
Running over her and killing her just also killed. Investigators say Simmons was dancing on top of an SUV when she fell off of the vehicle, followed by a fire truck running over her and killing her just seconds later. People have been talking about both of those reports on social media, along with this video. It was reportedly filmed in a Lululemon store, featuring alleged strippers shaking and twerking in the store.
Now we're going to get into there's some things that's been happening with Lululemon, but Jesus. Store Twerk Fest. Y'all see that? This is Store Twerk Fest. But let's keep going into the video, and let's remember to keep these ladies and the families in our prayers for the 2 lives was lost. So we must remember that.
This has been heavily criticized. Lululemon's CEO has previously said the brand isn't for certain customers, which many have assumed that was code for excluding black people. Do some people struggle with a craving for public attention to the point it puts their lives at risk or even their digital footprint at risk and, of course, in some cases, self-respect? Joining us to talk about it, therapist Dr. Nick Hardy and Factor social media producer Ajibola Budaran. Glad to have you here on The Factor Uncensored. First of all, Aji, what have you been able to find out about these 2 deaths, both very tragic, both young women dancing on vehicles and, of course, met a tragic end?
Yeah. Well, I think for both of these stories, they kind of are looked at slightly different. So I know in the first story, the family member and the friends of the young lady, they were talking about her being concerned about who she was out with and like her friends, because in that case, we don't know if they did it on purpose or on accident. But you have a case where somebody behind the wheel who's supposed to be her friend, and maybe they're having fun, shooting videos, outside dancing, and all of a sudden you have a young lady who's deceased. So I think in that sense, that's a tragedy that definitely could have been avoided. We don't know. The family doesn't even know what case the friends played in it. In terms of the other one, that was just something where we talk about, a lot of people are saying like, you're doing these things for attention, and you do things on the internet for attention, but it can lead to you losing your life. So you have a young lady who's on top of a car dancing, and they're stopped.
Exactly. The first one, where the young lady was twerking in front of the car and the friends just ran over her and kept driving, that's something totally different. That is clearly you might get manslaughter. They might even say murder, because now dancing on top of the car, falling off, and then a fire truck running over you, that is, no one meant for that to happen. She definitely didn't mean, no victim, of course, meant for that to happen, but none of the friends. It's an accident that leads to death, which could have been avoided. We need to, I don't know, but definitely could have been avoided, and there was no read to. Then you can say, oh well, she had the right to. Why can't she act like that? But then stuff like this happens when she could have just been in the car going home. And but let's keep getting into the video and see what some of these professionals have to say.
At a light, and when they take off, she falls, and there's a fire truck coming behind. So
the intent was to videotape, film these incidents, not the tragic part, but to put on social media.
I mean, more often than not, I would say yes.
That is a stupid question. Of course, if you're going to do this, they're doing this for some kind of attention. They can say, oh, they're having a good time, but it's going to be recorded, and it's going to be on social media. But it's the day and age we're in.
It's because there's no, you can say, oh, I'm doing this for fun, but when you're talking about being on top of a car or twerking and dancing and kind of being in public spaces like that, 9 times out of 10, people are videotaping it. We've seen those videos on social media already where people are doing dangerous things, and it's like a thrill. And when other people see it, they're going to respond to it and like it and be like, oh, I might try it too. So I think that in this case, it's one of those things where you have young ladies or just people in general seeing things on the internet and wanting to emulate it and recreate it because they're seeing other people get positive responses from it.
As a digital producer here at Fox, are you ever surprised at what you see people posting online?
I wish I could say yes. I'm never surprised anymore, because honestly, every single day is something different, whether it be a fight or somebody doing anything. I think the internet has kind of become a place where everything can be considered content, whether it's dangerous, whether it's safe, whether it's anything. So I think nowadays people see everything as content.
All right, Dr. Nick Hardy, your thoughts about this? Young people videotaping themselves in sometimes dangerous, even deadly situations, all to get on social media.
Yeah, I think attention is a drug. And I think to get attention, you almost have to do more and more outlandish things. And I think, unfortunately,
pushing the envelope,
and because it's addictive, one, you get the likes, you get the shares, you get the comments, you get, new followers. All of this is, releases some type of endorphin at certain times. And so I think the behavior escalates, and no one thinks that it's going to end tragically.
Right.
Of course, no one's going to think that it's going to end tragically. That is how accidents happen. My friends sometimes think, well, because I like to, as a personal, I like to, especially if I'm thinking about doing something, I'll look at what could go wrong and think about the possibilities. I'm not trying to put it in the air or anything like that, because a lot of people say, oh, even if you even mention what's bad going to happen, you're just putting it in the air and it's more likely to happen. That's something I subscribe to. I like to look at look at what's going to happen, and I like to logically think about, what can go wrong, so I can have a plan for it just in case something goes wrong. But people are living in the moment and trying to having a good time. There may have been some alcohol. I don't know. She was 18. I don't know if they were just having a good time. It could. Younger kids do things like that now too, but we don't know what was happening. But an accident can always happen, and it's all we can do is keep them in our prayers.
I think that's the thing, because we make so many decisions a day, and 99.5, times it doesn't lead to this. But I do think we make these decisions on an ongoing basis, and we do put ourselves at risk of being in these unfortunate situations.
And Ajay, before we get to run out of time, let's talk about the Lululemon situation where the individuals videotaped themselves in that store. Your thoughts about that, and what are people saying about it?
I mean, that is a very...
Now, the Lululemon thing, that's girls who like attention are going to do that. It's just what happens, but it's the main thing we want to look at is the two deaths that were happening. You had one that was clearly some kind of crime, manslaughter, murder even, because what was the reason? They started the vehicle, ran her over, and left the scene. Left her down there. It's a tragic situation, and someone's going to get charged. The driver, especially, yes, the driver is going to get charged with something. At least that is my thinking. The second one, complete accident. Nothing we could have done about it. But let's remember to keep these people and the family in our prayers. 2 lives were lost that shouldn't have been, but hate to say it, is not. Can we? I don't know if we can chalk it up to this is the life we are in. This is the world we live in right now. But we have to keep. In order to understand and move forward, you have to look at what's happening all around the world, so you can take it in and digest it and make decisions that can better guide your own life. At least that's what I feel. That's why I like to look at things and different news articles and things that are happening around, so I can understand what's happening in the world today. The next thing we're going to get into, so American Airlines. American Airlines is getting sued from a woman who said she was sexually assaulted mid-flight. Now, we're going to get into this and see what's happening, but it seems to be a crazy scene. But let's get right into it.
A woman is suing American Airlines after she says she was assaulted by a man on a flight.
She says the man had already been accused of assaulting another woman on a flight, but was still allowed to fly again. Fox 4's David Santendry joining us now with...
That's where they might mess them up now. If they've already been accused or they were found guilty. I don't know what they said. I don't know. Did they say accused or found guilty? Let's
assaulted by a man on a flight.
She says the man had already been accused of assaulting another woman on a flight, but was still...
Now they just said accused. Now, I don't think they could have just banned him for being accused of something. They might have had to been able to catch him in the act and then ban him from the process. But that doesn't sound like that's what happened. But let's keep listening and hearing what has to say about this.
Allowed to fly again. Fox 4's David Santendry joining us now with more. David.
Yeah, Heather and Steven, tonight we know the FBI is also involved because this suspect was charged federally in a recent case.
I was sexually assaulted.
Barbara Morgan claims she was sexually assaulted by a man sitting next to her on an American Airlines red-eye flight from San Francisco to Dallas in April of last year.
It's hard to describe what it's like to have a stranger touch you.
Morgan, speaking for the first time Wednesday, is not the only woman accusing the same suspect of sexual misconduct on flights.
You don't know how to react because you don't think it's possible.
Last month, 54-year-old Sharian
54. Arrested in March 2025. What is that? Abraham. They ain't got his picture out there yet. They should have put his picture out there, but 54? You sexually assaulting people at 54 years old? I mean, there's no age to where, oh, it's right. There's that you can be like, oh, sexual. No. But send this old man to jail, man.
Abraham was arrested by the FBI for allegedly groping a 22-year-old woman on an American Airlines flight from Chicago to Seattle. Federal authorities have not provided a mugshot of Abraham. The FBI says Abraham, twice before, allegedly touched fellow passengers inappropriately. The first case on an American flight in October 2023, but the victim chose to not pursue charges. The second case in April of last year is when Morgan says she was attacked.
Eventually, the FBI got involved and stopped this man, but not after several women had been harmed.
Morgan's attorneys held a press call Wednesday announcing a lawsuit against Abraham, who lives in Allen, and against American Airlines. Morgan's legal team says American Airlines was already aware of the 2023 allegation before she was assaulted.
This lawsuit is about forcing American Airlines to take every report of sexual assault seriously.
Morgan says she was too shocked to immediately notify a flight crew member.
I was frozen.
But said,
yes, every sexual assault allegation needs to be taken seriously. You need to investigate, and if it's true, charges should be filed. But there must be an investigation, and it must be found that it actually happened. We don't want, the main thing that we do not need is false charges or false allegations on someone who didn't actually commit the crime. I don't know what American Airlines is thinking. They might be, oh, since he didn't get charged, they don't have a legal obligation to ban him from the flights. I'm not sure if that is what they're thinking, but that could be what their lawyers will say. But let's finish up this video.
As she spoke with an employee working the gate desk after getting off the plane.
I told her, that man just assaulted me. He touched me and he violated me on the flight.
Morgan says she filed multiple complaints with the airline, but believes it was not properly addressed.
They made me feel like I was the problem, telling me that it was my responsibility while in the air, that I had that responsibility. And now it was his word against my word.
We had questions for American Airlines, but it deferred all of our questions to law enforcement, only issuing.
Now, like I said, I don't know how American Airlines is going to respond to this. Did they have an obligation to stop him from boarding the flight even though he wasn't charged? If I'm understanding everything correctly, it happened in October, before that she did not decide to press any charges and drop it. Then it happened in April or March again, and then it happened in April. Ladies, let's make sure you're protecting yourselves at all times, especially if you're traveling alone. That's the main thing we need to look out for. And if something happens, tell right then. That's what I say. You call somebody over quietly, or you get up, walk to the attendant, and tell what's happening. I feel like that would have been the best situation. But Maybe she was scared because they were in an enclosed environment and she couldn't get away from them. But I still feel like should have told the attendant or someone who was there. But hopefully this guy gets charged. They do an investigation. They find out that this is what he was doing and he gets charged the appropriate amount. Because people should be able to feel safe on a flight. If I go on a flight or if I send my mother or future daughter on the flight, I want to feel secure that if something happens, there's someone there to stop it. And if she tells somebody something happens, they can step in and make sure that she is safe. But we're going to keep following this video and see what happens with the American Airlines lawsuit. The next thing we're going to get into, everybody's been seeing it, turkey leg hut. Good old turkey leg. I've never been to a turkey leg hut before, or to this turkey leg hut, but I know, Thanksgiving is nothing better without a good fall off the bone turkey leg. Got to be fall off the bone. Got to be not dry. It cannot be dry. Oh, for heaven, please don't let it be dry. Beautifully seasoned turkey leg. But let's see what's happening. Main thing I've seen, I haven't dove too much into this already. Looks like if I'm understanding everything correctly, he set his own turkey leg on fire. But we're gonna get into it and see exactly what happened. Let's get into it. More stuff. It's Texas, but let's get right into it.
Lindell Price, the former owner of the Turkey Leg Hut, pled not guilty after being indicted on 3 federal charges in the case of the fire set the bar 50-15 in June of 2020. It was a long hearing here today with Fox 26's reporter Leslie Delaspore was at the courtroom. Leslie, what can you tell us?
Yeah, court was about 2 hours long, and we heard lots of evidence, but also strong arguments from both sides. But also lots of information came out of that courtroom today. Now, federal prosecutors called an FBI agent to the stand. That agent claims co-defendant John Price told investigators that Lindell orchestrated in setting bar 5015 on fire, stole cars, and even knew that marijuana was being sold on.
Do y'all see all that gasoline? All that damn gasoline. Let's rewind that a little bit. Jesus.
That Lindell orchestrated in setting bar 5015 on fire, stole cars, and even knew that marijuana was being sold on Turkey Leg Hut property using Turkey Leg Hut branding and packaging. John Price later admitted to setting the fire when he was arrested on a separate charge in 2023. Now, during the cross-examination, the defense argued that Lindell is a good member in the community and said John Price's confession only came about because he was facing felony drug charges.
The evidence that they have put on is based on a person, an individual that is under federal indictment for trafficking one of the most dangerous drugs in America, which is fentanyl. So again, the court has provided him with a bond. There are no allegations against my client whatsoever as it related to any type of drug trafficking as it relates to that co-defendant. A lot of things were brought up that, we necessarily didn't agree with, and we addressed those things during the course of the hearing.
Now, the judge said that she had a lot to chew on before she could make a decision. Anthony.
Leslie, really quickly here. So, like you mentioned, lots of stuff happened in court today, but when we came to cross-examination from the defense, what did we learn? What were they saying in defense of him?
Yeah, there was something that really stood out to a lot of people in the courtroom. So during the cross-examination, the FBI agent pointed out that Lindell Price was actually not seen in the surveillance video of bar 5015 being set on fire. And that was one of the first points in the argument from the defense towards the end of the hearing.
This is not a rush for judgment. We're not going to, litigate this case in the media. We're looking for the court's ruling. We're looking forward to the court's ruling, and we're looking forward to clearing.
Wait. So he admitted to it. Let's rewind that just a tad bit.
Facing felony drug charges.
The evidence, we need to make able to understand exactly what's happening, because it sounds to me that he admitted that he orchestrated the turkey leg hut, but the lawyer is saying, oh, he only admitted it because he was getting accused of selling the most dangerous drug, fentanyl.
That they have put on is based on a person, an individual that is under federal indictment for trafficking one of the most dangerous drugs in America, which is fentanyl. So again, the court has provided him with a bond. There are no allegations against my client whatsoever as it related to any type of drug trafficking as it relates to that co-defendant. A lot of things were brought up that, we necessarily didn't agree with, and we addressed those things during the course of the hearing.
Now, the judge said that she had a lot to chew on before she could make a decision. Anthony.
Leslie, really quickly here. So, examination from the defense. What did we learn? What were they saying in defense of him?
Yeah, there was something that really stood out to a lot of people in the courtroom. So during the cross-examination, the FBI agent pointed out that Lyndall Price was actually not seen in the surveillance video of bar 5015 being set on fire. And that was one of the first points in the argument from the defense towards the end of the hearing.
This is not a rush for judgment. We're not going to, litigate this case in the media. We're looking for the court's ruling. We're looking forward to the court's ruling, and we're looking forward to clearing Mr. Lyndall Price's name.
Reporting from downtown Houston, Leslie Dellis for Fox 26 News.
Now, would I be surprised if the scam was to burn down the turkey leg hut for the insurance money? No. The fentanyl is the main thing that gets me. Was he a part of the fentanyl selling? Excuse me, y'all. Was he a part of the fentanyl selling? I don't know. If he was, yes, he deserves to be charged. Fentanyl should not be on our streets. And people who mess with it or deal it and serve it to the kids especially need to be in jail for the longest time they can. It's crazy to think about that all this led from, if I understand everything correctly, him orchestrating. But I don't know if they're going to say, because they're trying to bring up that he wasn't shown in the video. But if I orchestrate something, I'm not going to be shown in the video. It's simple thoughts, but that's it for that video. We're going to get into more details about it. Ooh, need some water. But we're going to get into more details about it. The next thing, so speaking of fentanyl, the next thing I want to get into, Collin County has had their very first murder conviction from fentanyl. So this is the first that's happened in the county under a new law that they passed. So we're going to watch that, hear about how a woman, 25-year-old, gets charged for a fentanyl murder in Collin County. But let's get right into it.
A Collin County family says there is now a sense of peace after the woman who gave their son fentanyl was convicted of murder. It's the first conviction in Collin County under a new law aimed at targeting the people who deal the highly potent drug. Fox 4's
beautiful law. You need to target the people who are serving and who are selling this fentanyl, serving fentanyl. It's the only way we can stop this. Just like any kind of drug, we need to go after the people, bring it in, selling it. That's the only way you can stop it. So especially so our kids cannot be affected by this. It's what we have to do to protect the young ones.
Peyton Yeager reports.
This McKinney mother has been following this case, and she's been waiting for this week, a conviction. Now, this case could set precedent in Collin County as the DA's office continues to work more fentanyl murder cases.
And my husband went to go check on him and found him. We thought he was asleep, but he wasn't. So, yeah, it was.
No parent should have to find their young teen child overdosed. Or is it a problem with the parent supervision? Or is there just always going to be a way that you're not going to be able to watch your kids 100%? Of course, you're not going to be able to watch your kids 100% of the time. The main thing I think it comes down to is parenting, instilling values into your son. But we don't know what this kid's situation was like. We don't know how his parents taught him. We don't know if this was out of the blue. I don't know. They might specify it, but at least my thinking is it all comes down to what you talk to your kids about. What do you explain to them? And how you guide them growing up to what kind of choices they're going to make. If they decide to try and experiment on drugs, what they try to experiment on. Because you can always be they should never. You don't know kids. There's a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of go to a party, alcohol. It's more than likely that they will, not 100%, but it's more than likely that they will try some kind of alcohol, especially alcohol, but the main thing you can do is teach them at a young age and instill values in them that they can use going forward to make their own decisions when they are alone and away from their guiding parents. But let's keep getting into the video.
That was the worst day for sure.
September 18th, 2023, Lindsay Poltz's son, Mitchell, was found dead from a fentanyl overdose. The 17-year-old McKinney High School student had a passion for sports, but behind the curtain, Mitchell was struggling with a drug addiction.
To be honest, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know where to go. We didn't know how to get help.
From counseling to inpatient facilities and outpatient facilities, the Poltzes tried to help. One day, Mitchell contacted 20-year-old Sienna Armour through Instagram and
through Instagram. That's how they're getting their drugs nowadays. Watch your kid. That's all I can say is watch your kids' social media. Some will say, oh, you're too strict and you can't be always hovering over them, but there's always someone we just clearly seen that you can find drugs on Instagram, social media, and there are people who are willing to give it to you. 17-year-old, if you were 15 on there, if you would still be able to. It just depends on how she feels. The person selling the drugs, she, him, whoever it is. But let's keep finishing up the video.
Purchased what ended up being a lethal dose of fentanyl. Armour was later arrested and charged with murder.
The stress has stopped. The constantly checking the status of the case has stopped.
This week, Lindsay Poltz walked out of the Collin County Courthouse with a sense of peace. Armour pleaded guilty to murder, the first fentanyl murder conviction in Collin County under the new state law. Prosecutors can pursue the charge of murder when someone dies as a result of fentanyl distribution. Armour was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Poltz admits she hoped for more time, but the plea deal does remove some uncertainty.
We didn't have to deal with a trial. We didn't have to deal with appeals or this being the first case. How is the jury even going to?
A plea deal is always a definite, yes, they signed a plea deal. Yes, they're going to go to jail. You're never going to get as much time as the max, of course, because it's a plea deal. And maybe they were right, to go with it because, yes, it's the first kind of this kind of case they're dealing with. But all parents would say the same thing. Oh, I don't think they felt like they got a long time because you lost a child, of course. But at that point, do you think life for life is enough? If your child died, do the person who caused that deserve to have their whole life in prison? Pretty standard if it was cold-hearted. But let's finish up this video.
Look at it or think about it.
Instead, one of the last things Armour heard before her time started was Pultz's impact statement in the courtroom. Pultz tells Fox 4 over the last year, the tone in her script changed from anger to showing more grace, hoping instead Mitchell's 17 years of life will be remembered.
I do think we got justice. I am very grateful. There's a lot of families out there in the same spot we are, and they didn't even have a detective look into it. We want people to see and hopefully.
I can't imagine you not even having a detective look into it. That's crazy.
Change their mind on what they're doing and dealing drugs and dealing with fentanyl, that it's not going to be just a tiny drug charge anymore. It's going to be more than that.
Armour's sentence, 25 years. However, she will be eligible for parole in 12.5 years. The Pultz's plan to be at that hearing. Peyton Yeager, Fox 4.
Now, yes, this is the first charge for fentanyl murder that they've done. You need to be able to get these people off the streets. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Maybe with this case, they will more will be able to go to court and get charged for, and at that point, hopefully, no one would be selling fentanyl. But if someone wants it, there's always going to be people to sell it. It's a sad fact, but it's a fact in the end. Now we're going to keep track of this. And we're going to look at more instances that this pop up that they use, go into this, and just we're going to watch any new laws that pop up that could shed some more light or that are being passed to stop the fentanyl epidemic, because it is an epidemic. Yeah, we have to protect the main people who we need to protect are the kids, and the kids are the most vulnerable into having to deal with this. Crazy world we live in. Next, we're going to look at, so everybody's been talking about how Tiffany Henyard, the mayor, if you haven't heard about her yet, mayor who was spending all her county's taxpayers' money, spending it all up, going on trips, bodyguards. But she was finally taken away from her positions. But they brought up that she made $347,000 last year. $347,000 last year. Now we're going to get into this because a lot of people were upset because she wasn't, how they were spending so much money. Their budget was going crazy, but let's jump right into that.
Self-proclaimed super mayor Tiffany Henyard leaves office in the next few weeks after being badly beaten at the ballot box. Questionable spending, clashes with trustees, and an ongoing FBI investigation led to her undoing.
Investigative reporter Ben Bradley broke many of the stories that exposed the issues, and tonight he returns to the south suburbs for a new accounting of Henyard's reign.
I love y'all. There's nothing you can do about it.
The curtain will soon close on the Tiffany Henyard show, but not before one last dance.
Supervisor. Oh, stop it, man.
Come on now.
Come on, go on,
People want to know what's next for you.
You know what's next. Why you out here? Why are you out here?
We were there for Henyard's final food giveaway and a new tally of what she's cost taxpayers. On Easter weekend, cars lined up for blocks. Tens of thousands of tax dollars spent for another one of Henyard's famous food giveaways.
Our last hurrah, and I did not vote for that woman, and I never didn't vote for her before, but I'm gonna give me something to eat today.
I ain't never vote for her. I ain't never gonna vote for her. But I'm gonna come up here and give me something to eat today. Yeah. That is crazy. All right, I gotta watch that back a little more.
Of Henyard's famous food giveaways.
Our last hurrah, and I did not vote for that woman, and I never didn't vote for her before, but I'm gonna give me something to eat today.
I like the giveaways, but I don't like her. She's nasty.
You can do all the giveaways you want, but it's not going to change people's opinion of you. The smart people, it's not going to change the smart people's opinion on how you ran the city and on how what you did affected the city. But hey, they're going to come and get the free stuff.
She's giving us back what we already gave, but ain't nobody else doing that either.
Tiffany Henyard does spend a lot of money, some of it on worthwhile programs, but she's also benefited handsomely and questionably. Newly obtained records show last year Henyard was paid more than $347,000 from Dalton and Thornton Township, the two governments she runs. That's more than Chicago's mayor makes.
Now that is crazy. What they just said, if y'all followed the story of what's happening with her, she had two different government positions, and those two combined made more than Brandon Johnson. That is crazy. Let's keep going.
Henyard's comp includes $282,000 from the township, which also gave her a $4,900 per month expense allowance and an $1,100 monthly vehicle allowance. That's despite the fact Dalton taxpayers spent six figures on two SUVs police used to chauffeur Henyard.
Trustee Gray Everett, Supervisor Henyard.
And did we mention Henyard hasn't attended a single meeting since she lost re-election?
Why haven't you been to board meetings since your defeat?
And work.
You don't want to answer? You're still getting paid. Why not go to the meetings?
It just proves that what she was doing was very selfish. It wasn't about the people.
Stephanie Wiedemann worked for the township for 20 years and blew the whistle on many of Henyard's antics.
If she would have just said, oh, I made a mistake, everybody would have moved on. We pointed out the mistakes and she put on the show. You know, everybody paid attention because every 2 weeks it was like a sitcom.
Y'all are black, and y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves.
You the ones that's costing the village money.
Okay.
I don't have that call. I would call.
All right.
Okay.
What was she supposed to do? You wanted her to expound? Don't drag out the meeting.
I made a motion.
WGN Investigates has documented first-class trips for Henyard and her entourage that cost taxpayers well over $100,000. There was a stay at a Four Seasons and stay
first class, driving, flying, premium, first class.
Dinners. In late 2023, this was how she explained it.
I do not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas?
Now y'all see that, right? Y'all see? Let's rewind a little bit.
You didn't go to Las Vegas?
Look, she trying not to get caught in a lie.
What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
No comment. Yeah, you heard
Vegas?
Of course I do.
Were you?
It's not paid by them.
Taxpayers are the ones stuck with the bill. The supervisor and others get unusual perks, including $600
not paid by them, but your salary comes from them, and you get a travel expense, and you can write off your plane trip. It just doesn't add up.
$100 a day for every day they travel out of state for the township, and $400 per day for travel within Illinois, plus the cost of their travel expenses. We asked Henyard's successor whether he agrees with the supersized paydays.
What you make is based upon what you are able to deliver. That's more so saying, like, people believe that professional athletes shouldn't get paid millions of dollars, that doctors should be.
Now we have to remember, he's taking over after her. So he's going to get that money now. So yeah, that's how he said it's what they get from that position.
Or teachers for that matter. So I'm not going to get here and go into a debate about what should be getting or what should be this salary of this.
With what we've been through and how easily we saw it is to abuse the system, I think it's important that the residents pay attention and continue to pay attention and continue to hold.
When in doubt, you need to pay attention to your local elections. They deal a lot more with how your money is going at a local perspective, because the main thing we deal with federal taxes, of course, but the state taxes, property taxes, all that has to deal with school zone, all that stuff has to deal with your local government. So be out to vote. So you need to make sure you're out to vote for your local elections and not just the presidential one.
Hold people accountable.
Good time,
Despite it
boy.
all, the spending, a questionable cancer charity, an ongoing FBI investigation, and even a brawl at a board meeting.
Now, if you were able to see that brawl, that was crazy. But it's always it's crazy.
Henyard still has her supporters.
I think she's doing what men have been doing for years as far as her security and all those things. She needs that.
She give back to the community, so, what more can people ask for?
And Tiffany Henyard.
You can ask for her to be responsible with the money she's allowed to use.
Henyard vows the show will go on.
You told us on Election Day we haven't heard the last of you. What's next for you?
It's a lot next for me. Stay tuned.
The FBI is still tuned in. Sources say agents have visited several of Henyard's allies at home in recent weeks, looking for information and cooperation. As for the six-figure township supervisor's salary, it was 6 times higher than the leaders of Illinois' other largest townships, but it will be reduced to just over $50,000 per year when the new supervisor takes over in mid-May. Some of the other allowance perks, they'll remain in place. Ben Bradley, WGN Investigates.
Wow. It's crazy to think that the corruption, well, some people say she was corrupt, but we don't know. Well, I don't know if we don't know, but a lot of those things, how she looked when they said something about you. So did you go to Las Vegas? She tried to twist her head. I know I was in Las Vegas, but she's saying that the people didn't pay for it. Crazy. It's crazy. Now, if any more things pop up with Miss Henyard, we will be sure to talk about it. But it seems like everything's going to start winding down now that she has been voted out. And is that the end that we'll see of Henyard? We don't know. We'll see. She might pop up in another election, and we'll cover it and see how people go vote for her. But that's it for that video. The next thing we're going to be looking at, so Anton Daniels, I've talked about him before. He just recently reviewed a video of a man being arrested for attacking a woman carrying his girlfriend carrying his unborn child. crazy. Now let's get right into the video. See what Anton has to say and see if we agree with what Anton's saying. But let's get into it.
First at 5, we are hearing from the man charged with beating his pregnant girlfriend outside an apartment complex in Montgomery County. That man now admitting to the crime, telling NBC 10 he's sorry. Thank you for joining us on NBC 10 News at 5 o'clock. I'm Jacqueline London.
And I'm Johnny Archer. Police say the victim told police that he wanted to end her pregnancy. Raymond Batista was arrested for the attack, and today he was taken to jail after a judge set his bail at $500,000. NBC 10's Deanna Durante was in the courtroom this morning and spoke with Batista.
Raymond, are you sorry?
Yeah.
Despite a courtroom promise from Raymond Batista that the victim in the case is safe, a Montgomery County judge sent the 36-year-old to jail. Batista admitted in court Wednesday he was the one who beat his pregnant girlfriend early Thursday morning.
That is crazy. Now, I know they're censoring it, of course. But you saw how he ran after her? Jesus.
This is wild, bro. Like, you know me. I'm an equal accountability smoke giver, and I always like to spend time detailing why it's important to hold everybody accountable. And to a larger extent, I've held women accountable for the men that they've gotten in relationships with and the guys that they ultimately have children with. But I said it before and I'm going to say it again on multiple different videos and live streams. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, deserves to get their hands put on them.
Exactly. Man or woman, no one deserves to get their hands put on each other. Keep your hands off of each other. If you can't have a conversation or if you're having a disagreement and you need to use your hands to cause some kind of violence, you shouldn't be dealing with that person or you should walk away. There should not be any of that. Can we blame her for getting in a relationship with that man? I don't know. I don't know if he showed any signs of that. He was very aggressive. Some people say they won't never show signs of what they could happen, but we don't know. But at the end of the day, keep your hands off of people. There's no reason where a man should be hitting a woman and a woman should be hitting a man. Some people will be like, oh, well, it's not that bad since the woman, the hell's happening on my camera? What the woman can do, but the woman can't really cause any damage to him. But it's crazy to think about. But let's continue on with the video.
At all. We can hold people accountable for their decisions. We can say, hey, you got to live with the consequences, whether it's the man or the woman. And I've, detailed and I've said a lot of times that, guys are held accountable by default when it comes to family court laws. They don't get any reprieves. They don't get any help. It often at times costs them fighting for their children and all of this stuff. And also it is true that it takes two to tango. So, while we hold women accountable and we say, hey, it's your body, your choice. You chose to be a single mother essentially by still having sex with a man outside of wedlock that you were not supposed to when you decided to get pregnant by him. And, we have so many different forms of contraception that it shouldn't even come to deleting your baby as a form of one of them. Nobody, and I mean nobody, needs to have their hands put on them. And the fact that this dude dressed up like a robber, set this up, beat the crap out of the chick in order to try to remove her pregnancy, and
you try to remove the pregnancy. That is, if you don't want the woman you're sleeping with to get pregnant, then you need to wrap up. But I understand, yes, it's not 100%. You can do all you want, but it's never going to be 100%. Always things can happen. But that is the risk you take for sleeping with someone. It's a risk that's going, especially as a man, if you sleep with someone, at the end of the day, if everything you try fails and she becomes pregnant, the only thing you can do is let her or go by what she decides. If she want to keep it or if she doesn't. And you have to live with that decision because you are a man. It's what we have to do. But let's keep hearing what Anton has to say about this.
Then tried to act like in front like it wasn't him is insane. It's diabolical. It's all of the things that you can describe it to be. And I'm not going to get this dude no pass. I'm not going to give him no excuses. This dude is a monster. And the fact that he's willing to do that with a person that is holding potentially his child is crazy to me. But on one side, again, you can hold women accountable, but you have to hold these guys accountable. And the fact that this guy hoodied up and mauled this woman basically in a parking lot and what looks to be an apartment complex on the street in concrete. And listen, this
beat her on the concrete. Crazy. Deserves to be in jail.
video is on YouTube, so I'm gonna put a link in the description to it so you can watch the uncensored version. But I don't even feel comfortable showing it, even though it's straight from a news source. I don't feel comfortable even showing it because it's so horrendous to me. And I just, to see a woman or to have a woman crying and screaming out because, she's basically getting attacked by somebody that she's familiar with. And I don't know the dynamics of their relationship. I don't know all of the details of their relationship. And I don't even care to know all of the details of their relationship. Nobody should be getting their hands put on them as a result of not wanting to be a part of, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't want her to keep the baby, so you going to put your hands on her? Nah, family. I'm not with it. And I'm praying to God that, even though I'm cool with the comments, I don't delete any comment. For those of y'all that may or may not be familiar, sometimes maybe you might put something inside of the comments that would be incendiary as far as in the eyes of YouTube, and so you might get by default automatically censored or something like that. But I don't delete any comments. I let people rock out in the comments and get their stuff off. But anybody that justifies this in my eyes is crazy, is a monster. And I don't speak for you, and I'm sure you don't want me to speak for you, but I think it's a difference between holding people accountable for their actions and seeing somebody like this mauling a woman inside of the parking lot and thinking that it's cool. It's not. And this,
I don't think anyone I know would see this and be like, oh, she deserves this to happen. No, there's no way. It's crazy that someone actually would do this. He deserves to be in jail and will most likely, he's going to be in jail for a long time. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
this camera actually has audio, which is crazy to think about considering.
As the video played in court, Batista
It's
sat.
crazy. It's insane, bro. I don't even want to play this. I'm gonna just skip past this part because it's wild to think about this, bro. I just don't. I can't do it.
Do you see that? He is stomping on her. Stomping. All because you don't want her to be pregnant. He definitely didn't wear a condom. He definitely didn't take the steps afterwards, but then you go around and beat Shorty. Sick to see. It's very sick to see. Jesus.
This part because it's wild to think about this, bro. I just don't. I can't do it, man. And then he ran away like it was nothing, like it wasn't even a big deal. Then he ran away like it wasn't a big deal. I guess they censored the person that was getting attacked, but it's crazy. It's just absolutely insane to me.
Where her justice begins today.
Police zeroed in on Batista in the hours after the assault. They say the victim told police Batista wanted her to end her.
Crazy, bro.
Thursday afternoon, just hours after the assault. This is when police say Batista told them he was home sleeping at the time of the attack, yet they say his car was seen on video near the crime scene, and license plate readers also verify it was on the road.
Dummy.
You cannot get away with any of this. Too many cameras, they're going to see your license plate. Idiot.
Just after the attack.
Y'all do know that it's so much technology out here that you commit a crime, and if they want to come after you and prove that you was there, it's so many ways to do it. It's literally a camera on every corner, every street, every block, every stoplight, license plate readers, can triangulate exactly what tower your cell phone is hitting off of, what message was sent. All of that stuff is available, bro. If y'all didn't learn anything from Fawny Willis and you know what I'm saying, her little boy toy and him going over her house and how long he was there and all that, if y'all haven't learned enough from these crime channels, it's not even worth it to just do crime at this point. You know what I'm saying? Just stay out the way, bro, and get your life together and focus on you and run up a bag, bro. Just stay out the fucking way.
Now that's pretty much, I understand what Anton was saying. This, at the end of the day, you need to just stay out the way, run up your bag. This is crazy. No woman deserves to get beat like this. And then no violence should be taking place in a relationship, a healthy relationship. There should be no violence. But we'll keep following that story. Probably see if there's any more updates when we go to the next episode. But the last thing that we want to get into today is Lululemon. Now, I mentioned this early in the show. Lululemon. Now, it looks like they have been targeted by flash mobs of thieves in Houston. Yes, more stuff in Houston. And it looks like people going crazy. But let's get into this and see what's happening with this.
Organized retail theft is surging everywhere, but one premium athleisure wear brand is getting hit especially hard right here in the Houston area. Tonight, Lululemon customers are calling out the company for not doing more to stop repeat thieves in their neighborhoods. 2 Investigates Amy Davis exposes the frightening trend from the store to your social media feed.
Seriously, get out. Bold, brazen thieves targeting Lululemon stores all over Houston, and customers have.
You know what I see? You know what I see? A bunch of YNs and YBs. Social media making it a trend to go steal, and the lax laws making them where they don't, if they get caught, they're going to be out and willing to do it again. But that's another point for another day. Let's keep watching.
Had enough.
For an employee to tell us it doesn't last that long, they're not violent, just hang out for a minute, normalizing that is just insanity to me.
I mean, why? Jess Schindler says she was trapped in this Heights store in February when 5 men barged inside.
Somebody got knocked over that was right in their pathway, and they had these large trash bags, and they were just shoveling as much merchandise as possible.
They're called Lulu Boosters, selling stolen goods on social media. From these stores to your Facebook feed, the organized retail theft is easy to track.
Is that putting a strain on resources for HPD?
Yes, ma'am. It's a lot of calls for service.
Check it out. In just 6 months at the Heights store, the Rice Village, and the City Center Lululemon locations, flash mob shoplifters struck 51 times.
51 times in 6 months with 3 stores. The stores are going to leave. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the people who really want to shop there is going to be affected because they can't stay there if they keep experiencing this. But they don't care.
On January 4th, thieves stole 210 pairs of leggings worth $21,000 from the Rice Village location. 1 hour later, a group took $18,000 worth of clothes from the City Center store. And reports show on January 18th, thieves returned to the Heights location 3 times, at 1:02 p.m., again at 3:12, and a third time.
You mean to tell me they could come to the same store 3 times and not get caught once? Crazy. Come to the same store 3 times in the day and not get caught once. Crazy.
At 4:10, a more than $10,000 day for thieves who simply walked out.
Do you think there's something Lululemon could be doing to prevent these crimes?
From what we've seen at other department stores is they have some form of security, either inside the store or outside the store.
Lululemon doesn't really have that.
Not that I've seen, no.
Have you asked why?
I have, but I have not gotten an answer yet.
When we reached out to Lululemon, a spokesperson sent us this statement that explained the company does use on-site security in some stores across the country, and that they are continually assessing and updating their security measures.
Why is everybody that works here so calm about this? It's like they're, they've acclimated to this environment.
And HPD officer Mike Medina says the shoplifters he's arrested with the stolen Lulu clothing are acclimating too.
They have said in the past that they're just going to get out and do the same thing.
Like Deja.
What did I say? Get out and do the same thing. They said there's no really a punishment for it. So why not go out, do it again, stack up some more money? It's crazy.
Williams. Medina arrested her at the Heights store with more than $23,000 of stolen leggings. 5 days later, police arrested her at the City Center location, this time with more than $8,000 of looted Lululemon. Williams was extradited back to Mississippi, where investigators say she was a fugitive, charged with organized retail theft there.
These criminals have learned that there's little to zero consequences, right?
7 days after we started asking Lululemon headquarters what they're doing to deter these crimes at Houston stores, we noticed they did hire a full-time security for the Heights store. One guard stays overnight when the store is closed, and another is here in this location when the store is open. We're going to keep track and let you know if the Lulu heists decrease after this. I'm Amy.
It is crazy to think that a criminal can go back to a store 3 times, not once, not twice, 3 times in the same day and not get caught. That is crazy to think about. And then the criminals admitting that they're just going to do it again. You're not stopping me from you. Okay, I'm going to go to jail for the day and then I'm gone. The girl who gets extradited back to Mississippi, she's going to get out and she's going to do it again. I'm like 99% sure she's going to do it again, but it's crazy to think about. Now, that is the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. If you watch it later, thank you. Remember, this is AC Reviews the World, where we're going to be looking at all the viral videos, top news going routes. Remember to like and subscribe, follow, and just keep rocking with us while we review the world together. Now, I'm always going to have to do this after the live stream, after the show. I'm going to just play the intro one more time just because, why not? Because it's so good. Remember, happy May the 4th to everybody. May the force be with y'all. And let's see y'all later. Peace.